Okay, this is the Glock 81 outdoor survival knife. It is a 6-inch blade with one side sharp and the rear being a root saw, which can also be effectively used to cut notches and markings or breakpoints in softer woods, and can also be used with relative efficiency on harder woods. This is a very durable knife. It's lightweight. It has a shorter tang than most survival knives. The tang probably comes up to where my thumb is right now, but due to the Glock polymer strength, which is the material used in the handle, and the way that the tang has a few holes through it so that the polymer goes through the tang, the result is not a full tang knife. So I wouldn't expect it to do what a full tang knife can do, but let's say that I've seen guys use a sledgehammer to cut up concrete blocks with this knife, and there were no concerns with the tang and no movement of the blade within the grip. It should be noted that the sheath, which has a very nice way of fixing onto a belt, basically this clip is simply, it's pushed out like this, a little bit fiddly with one hand. There it is. Put it on your belt and bang, back on. Don't have to take your belt under your belt to get this sheath back on. It's a very nice positive locking mechanism. You can see it right there. That's not going anywhere. I would say you could use this sheath as a short baton, and under most circumstances it wouldn't go anywhere. Again, what I was basically saying is it should be noted that the sheath and the grip, which has a good pommel at the end, I've seen some guys open this and there is a small survival capsule inside, but I'm not going to open mine because I don't want it to take any water inside, and I don't need a survival capsule. Should be noted that the sheath and the grip are made from the proprietary Glock polymer plastic, which is the same that they use in their firearms, very high quality plastic. The sheath can be replaced right now for about $5, and the knife with the sheath cost about, I would say about $50. Right, let's see this thing. Well, one more thing, it's made out of spring steel, which in German is Federstahl. This is a pretty bendy steel, not that good for sharpening, but and rusts, but has a pretty good elastic modulus. It has a Rockwell hardness, I think, of about 53, so it's hard enough to cut basically anything you want to cut, but flexible and durable enough that it can handle a lot of sideways abuse, and just a lot of shock and trauma without exceeding its elastic deformation point, which means that it will bend and move, but it will bend back afterwards. Elastic deformation quickly is deformation of a material which, once the force that causes the deformation is removed, the material then returns to its original position. And this Glock knife does that pretty well. Here it is. Get the shutting off. It's just got some general oil on it because, like I said, it does rust. This blade must be kept, well, you don't have to, you can let it rust if you want, but just general oil. This happens to be standard oil with a bit of lithium on it. As you can see, the Seger, it's kind of a crosshatch style to it. About width is about, I would say, 5 millimeters. You can get the official dimensions from the Glock website. The point is whatever, don't know what you want to call that, some sort of, who cares, it's sharp enough to get through a guy's ribs and hurt any sort of animal that would want to attack you. And yeah, the blade's about 6 inches long. If my phone will focus. Whatever, it doesn't focus right now, but this is the Glock 81. It has a nice weight, kind of center balanced, pretty good for throwing. If it was a full tang, it wouldn't be so good. It has an ovalish grip, basically a sort of cross between a square and an oval, which fits very nicely in the hand. The guard is sufficient for any job that you need a guard for, and large enough that it would function pretty well with gloves. This allows it to be, bend allows it to be fixed as a bayonet if you have any bayonet. There's the Glock symbol, just in case anyone's assuming that my inadequate explanation indicates that I may not have a genuine Glock product, but I in fact do, partially due to luck. What else can be said about this? I would recommend it. I wouldn't say that it's a full tang blade. I wouldn't say that it holds the sharpest edge that you ever had, but it is the right width to go through ribs without getting stuck in them. For example, the current German fighting knife, the Kampfmesser 2000 or KM 2000, is about twice as wide, and I don't think that that's a width that's going to go through anyone's rib cage without sufficient force. And for a killing knife, to be quite honest with you, you just don't want anything that's wider than the average gap between a man's rib cage. I'll pause the video and see if I come up with anything else. Can't really seem to come up with anything else, except that the Trident has a nice lanyard point and also a water drainage hole. Quite important when you use a knife with a steel. And again, a very positive lock. That ain't going anywhere. I highly recommend this knife. It's very strong, and basically can't think of much that I would say that's not good about it, except that perhaps a full tang would increase my confidence in it. I would actually love this in a full tang with the Glock polymer grip. I think that would be a fucking excellent knife that everyone could just trust, but I don't know. I don't know why they chose not to make it full tang. Maybe it's to show that their plastic's really good. So, because the tang ends right around here, it's like about a 30% tang, which is very unconventional for anything that's marketed as a survival knife in today's market. But maybe that's a decision by them to showcase the strength of their polymer, because this knife, let's say it does get through some serious abuse, like literally using the sledgehammer to drive it into concrete blocks and also wedge it into concrete blocks by hitting the pommel. And let's say that the concrete gives way before the knife does. But you have to ask yourself, why not just make the tang longer? I mean, who cares if the plastic is fucking excellent? And who cares about the weight? Okay, maybe a guy who throws a knife cares about the weight, but most people that buy a survival or fighting knife are not concerned primarily with throwing it. They're concerned primarily with strength, durability and reliability. I would say it's 7 out of 10. I'm very partial to it myself. That's because I own it. I like it very much. But if it was a full tang, we'd have a different animal to talk about here.